Welcome to Hour 2 of the Midwest #1 weekly motorsports show, Track Talk, on the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet. Once again, here's Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Welcome, hour number 2 of Track Talk here on Racing Boys Radio. Todd, if you could put the phone number up at the bottom of the screen, we have somebody who can take the calls. Todd Surprise, flipping the switches behind the glass. He's hanging out with us, so give him a call. We'll get you on. You see the number at the bottom of the screen, 816-833-8553, 816-833-8553, or if you need a toll-free number, not many people do anymore with cell phones, but if you do, 888-883-6363, 888-883-6363. A lot of 8s and a lot of 3s in that number. So there you have it on the screen. We'll take your calls. And
it doesn't have to be about NASCAR either. We can talk about a lot of other racing.
I'd just soon talk about some grassroots racing at this point right now. You know, folks, I've got to tell you, what happens on 810 isn't necessarily what's going to happen over here in hour number 2 on Racing Boys. It's a whole different beast over here. It's a little more relaxed. You know, people on 810, they want to talk NASCAR. A lot of the fans that are out there are not dirt track or local racing fans. They would just, as you heard, plenty of phone calls when you talk about NASCAR. And sometimes that dictates what happens in hour number 1. But I can promise you we will not forget our grassroots people here in hour number 2. Right, Kurt?
That's right. Hey, before we move into what we were both out at Lakeside Speedway last night for McCarthy Chevrolet night at the track. And, of course, the McCarthy Chevrolet car won. Tim Carrick, his 4th win of the year. But let's step back. Saturday, and, since we were on the show last Saturday morning, I was down at L.A. Raceway last Saturday night. They had a big sprint car show down there featuring the Speedway Motors Warrior region. They had the War non-wing sprints and the 305s. Good show down there last week. By the way, they're going to be racing with the stock cars tonight. The MLRA late models will be the featured attraction tonight down at L.A. Raceway. But had a great time down there. Did the broadcast on RacingBoys.com, and thanks to Mike and Carolyn White for having us down. And I thought it was a great night of racing. The track was excellent. Evan Martin picking up the win, had a great car count in all of the divisions down there on Saturday night, and Mike said it was his best crowd of the year. So
wow, good for him.
It was a good show, but I didn't have to dodge the tornadoes like you did out in Jetmore. Man,
crazy.
you had to scurry out of the stands there one time, right? Or did you stay up there with
I
Brian
stayed up there like an idiot.
When you probably should have evacuated the premises.
When lightning started hitting all around the speedway, I don't know, it was probably during hot laps. They decided to tell everybody to get out of the stands, protect yourself, get away from the grandstands.
But of course you did not do that.
There's not really much to live for anymore, Kirk. No, that's not true at all.
You wrote it out in that.
Brian and I decided, you know what? If you're standing 50 feet from the grandstands, chances are if it hits grandstands, it's going to get you too.
And you were standing in the worst possible place you could be in the scoring tower
in the
above
booth.
the grandstand, right?
Yep.
Yeah. But you made it.
Mama always said I wasn't all that smart. I could just tell you. So, it was pretty crazy out there. And you know it's bad, Kirk, when there's storm chasers everywhere with their cameras pointed toward the sky. It's not a good thing.
Not a good thing.
Not reassuring moment there. You're thinking, this could be the end, especially when the only place that you had to stay was in a 40-foot kite, the Racing Boys bus. All I could do is just get in it. And they said, now, if it looks like it's going to get really bad, you could go over and get into our freezer in the concession stand. But there was about 400 people there.
And not all 400 people.
Not all 400, and you know what? Women and children first.
That's right.
So it might have been wild. And I don't know what it is about that. Where was that tornado, Kirk? That went through that trucking yard. It was on TV. It was just recently, a month or so ago, and it showed those semi-trailers flying through the air like pieces of paper.
Like from the movie Twister. I could see you in your big motorhome.
Do you remember seeing that on TV? Where was that at? It was Oklahoma or somewhere, and it roared through some trucking company's lot, and it was picking up the trailers and throwing them just like a piece of paper. And all I can think about now when I'm sitting in that motorhome during these kind of weather, I'm thinking, well, I know that my motorhome could fly through the air with the greatest of ease. if a tornado come along.
That'd be quite a ride. You in the front seat of that motorhome flying through the air. That wouldn't have been good.
The seatbelt doesn't even work on the.
That wouldn't have done you much good anyway. But you're saying some of the racers were actually, they had their cars loaded. They were hightailing it out of the facility. They were
Brady
leaving.
Bacon was freaked out. I'm just going to call him out because he's my bud. I can do that. Brady was freaked out, man. I mean, he had his car unloaded. Next thing I know, I'm standing there talking to his mom and dad. We're standing out in front of our motorhomes, and here comes Brady. Where are you going? I'm getting the heck out of here.
He had his car loaded and get out of here. Right?
I think what really scared people at Jetmore last week was there was a fire in Dodge City, and it must have been a huge fire. And there was this big, giant wall-looking thing that could have been mistaken for a wall cloud, or not a wall cloud, but a huge tornado. And it went from the top all the way down to the ground, and it looked like it was 4 miles wide. And it started to rain, and it was overcast, and the wind was blowing real hard, and everybody kept looking over and thinking, that's a tornado, and
I'm getting out of here.
It's bad, man.
Wow.
Oh, crap, I'm going to die out here in the middle of nowhere, right? But then it started filtering around to some of the people that what that was the smoke from a fire. I think it was even a grass fire, if I'm not mistaken. And everybody, oh, sure it is. That's not smoke. That's a tornado. And nobody was buying it at first. But then we found out it started circulating around with the law officials that their firemen couldn't make it over there right away because they were over there fighting that fire in another district. So we all bought into it. Brady turned around, went back in, and really it only rained just for a split second. It was over, and everything was good. But it was touch and go.
The only other time that I was scared at a racetrack, you and I were together down at Lucas Oil Speedway a few years ago at the Diamond Nationals, and we had not one but two major hailstorms in one afternoon. And
then we drove home.
Tornado warnings all over the Hickory County, and we thought it was coming, and you can only imagine the devastation that would take effect with all of those haulers and everything in the infield.
And then what'd we do,
tornado
Kurt?
Come through. And
like a dumbass, I get in my motorhome and say, I'm getting out of here, right?
After the second hailstorm late in the afternoon, They finally called it off.
And you followed me home that trip. And let me tell you, when we got up to Clinton, all of a sudden
tornadoes there.
Tornadoes everywhere around there, and I'm driving a kite.
I was following you, and that's all you could do to keep it on the road.
Keep it on its wheels, let alone on the road. I mean, that thing felt like it was going to flip over at any moment.
So anyway.
No, hold on. But I'm going to tell you another time was probably as scary as that time.
Yeah.
Kansas Speedway.
Oh, yeah, a couple of times. We had a couple of tornadoes.
But that one year when they said it was coming right down 70 Highway, and it was right there at where was it, Baser or something? It was like
Tonganoxie, they said.
Tonganoxie, that's right.
We had a tornado scare in the spring, but also the one in the fall cup race.
Yeah, but
where they spotted the tornado in Tonganoxie. We had a full grandstand of 80,000 people.
Yeah, that was a little scary too.
And so where do they send you for safety in the infield? In the media center.
And then we found out
probably not that safe a place to be.
Well, I won't say who said it, but it was somebody that knew, said this probably isn't the safest place to be. That roof will blow right off of this.
That roof is just like a
tin roof.
Yeah.
and everybody, and let me tell you, the national media that was there that is not used to tornadoes, let me talk about freaked out.
Oh my.
Were they not freaked out, Kurt?
Yeah.
I mean, really. They were like really freaked out, right?
Then a year ago at Harlan Park, Topeka, during the NHRA Nationals tornado scare on a Saturday. So, yeah, we've been at some racetracks where it's come close a time or two, but we've lived to tell about it, and it sounds like your experience at Jetmore last weekend almost topped them all.
All right, I'm trying to read some of this stuff here. Let's go back up here and get on the chat room, because that's what we do. Phone lines open. You see them right there, 816-833-8553. Let's see here. Baxter, what have you been doing? Tried to call BTL with Keesman last week when Kirks was saying he wasn't a big deal. He's a huge deal, and he did drive a race car at I-70. I was there. And not only was he driving a race car, remember this, Baxter, he went around Petro on the outside. He was the fastest of all the on-air people. So anytime a Kirk Elliott says, I'm not a race car driver, is baloney.
My one time in a race car, and I got a trophy to prove it.
Oh, you did get a trophy, didn't you?
They handed me a trophy, yeah. Thanks to Gary Joslin, by the way. I always thank Gary Joslin.
What was so cool was that you were driving the 29 car, too.
Yeah.
That's
a family number.
Family number on top of it. How about that? Oh, I like this one here. Racer X66 says Scott's used to dodging these lightning bolts on and off the track. You're right, brother. No doubt.
But somehow you live to tell about it.
I did get shocked one time from a lightning bolt that hit a pole out at Lakeside. Back in the day, it was pavement. My friend Big Red and me were standing on the trailer. Lightning bolt hit a pole probably maybe 100 yards from us, and it shocked us when we were standing on the trailer. So
I never heard that story before.
All right, pot up the phone in there. All right, 910, I think it is. All right, there you go. You got it. Phone lines are coming in. Let's go to Alan Miller. I think he's on the phone. Alan, how you doing, bud?
Hey, how you guys doing today?
We're doing pretty good. How you doing, bud?
How's the races last night at Valley?
Very good. We had a good turnout. We had 20 sprint cars last night. They had a 1,000 to win race last night, and Kenny Potter did a great job. Veteran driver got up to the front of the pack there and held on. So good racing. Also had a really great race with the micros last night. They were going for a $500 to win event last night, and I tell you what, the 13-year-old kid, Cole Campbell out of Mexico, Missouri, he battles with Nathan Benson, and those two drivers swapped the lead several times. They got into traffic late in the race, and then the young 13-year-old driver, Cole, he gets around Nathan Benson and wins that race. So exciting racing out at Valley Speedway last night. They had the MLS lightning sprints there as well. Had a good race with them in the Midwest Mod Lights. They had 16 cars. It was kind of interesting. They had 3 drivers all the way over from Arizona. They were heading up to Nebraska this weekend for a couple of races, so they dropped in on Grain Valley at Valley Speedway last night. So just a good night overall racing over at Valley Speedway.
What's happening tonight, Alan?
Well, tonight they're going to have, of course, the USRA Modifieds, B-Mods, Street Stocks, and the Dirt Demons tonight. I believe there's extra money out there tonight also for the Modifieds. Again, I know Dean Willie has won 3 features at least up there this year.
And he's got 4.
That would be interesting. Yeah, I think that's right. You're right. Yeah. He took on his 4th win last week. He won $1,000 to win last week, too. So just some real good racing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's Gabe Maycock, the winner of the Midwest Lightning Sprints last night, too. So that's good. Need some good Friday nights out there.
Hey, Alan, I think a message was sent to the guys that are driving these non-wing cars when there was 2 shows in one night. It seems like Valley Speedway is the king of the non-wing.
Yeah, I think so. I know the other series is having some problems, and I know the drivers are really supporting the racing down there with Dennis Shrout down at Valley Speedway. We've had a real consistent car count with the sprints this year, averaging, a little over about 20 cars this year.
That is great. That is so good. I mean, just think about that. I was going to say, Alan, and I'm sorry to interrupt you. I was going to say, but what is great about it is this is so non-typical, because when people think of sprint car racing around this area in current times, they think about 360 wing sprint car racing. And to have a 20-car average with something that's just formed up here in the last couple of years with these non-wing cars is a huge statement on his commitment and what he's done to bring that type of racing back. I mean, I don't think people really get what's going on with these non-wing cars and how popular they are with sprint car fans, and how the drivers want to drive them. And to have, I mean, there's a lot of tracks that can't average 20 modifieds. You know what I'm saying?
Very true, very true. And I tell you what, I'm a modified. I love the modifieds and the late models, but I've really had a fun time learning and getting to know a lot of the teams out there at Valley Speedway this year. And it's interesting to see, because you have a mix of 305s, 360s, 410s. I mean, you have a young kid out there, Brad Ryan, out of Higginsville. He's been wheeling around a 305 sprint on the high side down there, and very competitive every week. I mean, he was up challenging for the lead in a 305.
Yeah, isn't that the key to success? I mean, you got the different engine configurations. They can still be competitive no matter what you're running.
Oh, you bet. And that's interesting because you see guys out there with the 410s. You know, they're competitive, but they're not necessarily going to win every race. Of course, the guys in the 360s as well. Chad Shields last week out of Green Valley, he won the big $1,000 to win race last week in his 360. So it's very competitive racing. I mean, you have J.D. Black out there that's each and every week, he has a chance to win. Last night, Chris Morgan, he was in the Jesse Hockett Racing 77X last night. Chris out of Topeka, driving for those guys every once in a while, and he ended up in that second spot. So, again, a lot of competitive racing throughout the field.
Yeah. All right, Alan, thanks for the check-in, and keep us informed each week if you can. Just give us a call and let us know what happened on Friday nights. Appreciate it.
You betcha. You guys take care, and I think I'll be heading over to L.A. Raceway tonight, catch some late model and modified action.
That's what I'm leaning towards right now. It should be a good show down there. All right, Alan, thanks.
Thanks,
care. Alan.
Right. Yeah, I got to say this. Hollywood Bob said that they had 15 non-wing cars at L.A. That's good. That's really good. I mean, 15 cars is good. Dennis is doing well. My point with that whole statement wasn't to take anything away from any other tracks, but my point is that when War said that they weren't going to compete against Dennis and then ultimately did.
Yeah, that's the part
at Double X Speedway a week ago Friday.
Yeah. Don't schedule up against Valley Speedway Friday night.
Six cars showed up. 25 cars showed up or 20, 25, whatever it was. I don't know. You might be able to tell me, Kirk, but a lot more cars showed up. And I think, again, they believe in Dennis. They believe in his loyalty and what he's done to bring that form of racing back consistently and not bail out on them, not change what their plans are. He just stays with it, and he's being rewarded for it.
When you have 19 cars show up at Valley and 6 at Double X Speedway on the same night.
19. Okay.
19.
Okay.
Statement made. I don't think War's going to schedule up against Valley again, nor should they. Work with them. Just I think it's great that what Tony Crank's doing with the War Series. And
I love his intentions.
Going to different racetracks, run basic same rules configuration and so forth, but don't go up against Valley Speedway.
I will tell you, though, that I know for a fact money's a little tight over there with those guys.
Well,
and
we'll
they need some more sponsors.
Well, I mean, you expect things to be a little tight in the beginning.
All right, I'll finish now. Here's the thing. If you want to see War continue, and you're a company and you're a big fan of it, but you're not spending any money with them, you need to do so. Because they will not be able to continue at the rate they're going right now. I know that Tony Crank is taking money out of his own pocket to keep that thing up and running. That won't last forever. Nobody's going to throw money at something forever, especially if they're a working man. Not even guys like Forrest Lucas will throw money at something forever. Ultimately, a good businessman says, I got to cut my ties. So if you're a fan of War and you want to see it continue, there's a couple things that need to happen. You need to step up and sponsor the series. And the series needs to stay to their commitment not to compete against Valley Speedway.
That's the big part right there.
Because if they go heads to head again, and I would say that probably won't happen again, Kirk.
No.
I would say they probably learned their lesson at Double X Speedway. Then, how would you like to be the person that's running a series, roll in, have a promoter that's willing to pay you the money to show up, and 6 cars show up? How embarrassing would that be?
Maybe he was just testing the loyalties of everybody. Maybe he was just trying to see,
I don't know.
I want to try to find out who's with me and who's with them. Well, I think we found the answer to that question.
And I like Tony Crank.
Yeah.
I think he's a good guy. I think his intentions are good. But, Kirk, we've been in this business now. I'm going on since before 810. I did a little thing over there at Q104 with Randy Miller for a couple years. This is like my 16th year doing radio. And you and I know, you've been my partner now going on 13 years. You and I know that credibility is everything. And if you give somebody your word, you better damn sure do what you tell them you're going to do. Is that right?
Deliver on what you say you're going to do.
Hasn't that always been our philosophy, Kirk? If we tell you we're going to do something, if we don't do it, it was out of our control.
Yep.
Right? Promoters only have one shot at credibility. You damage that credibility one time, it will take you years to get it back.
Just don't.
If ever. You might not get it back. I mean, there's some promoters that will never get their credibility back. Then there's other promoters that just go off in the sunset and you never see them again. Guys that are going to be around for a long time, going to have any kind of longevity in this sport, they have to have that credibility. It's the only way that you're going to be successful in this business.
You have to deliver what you promise. If you are saying that you're going to do something, you better deliver it, or don't promise it. You know, and I can understand, you know, the first year with any new series, things are going to be a little bit tight, and you just have to, go with what you got and try to gain whatever loyalties you can from the racers that you're trying to bring in. Once you do that, then the sponsors will come in time, and that's. Rome wasn't built in a day. It takes time to build any kind of a series, racetrack or whatever. You're just not going to get to the high summit in the first year. It's just not going to happen. You have to work it. And don't overpromise. Don't say you're going to do things you know you can't deliver. That's the big piece of advice that I would put out there.
Thanks for the warning there, Harvey. Just got up and changed that battery out. One of our cameras. Battery was going dead, so appreciate that.
Boy, you're good at changing batteries on the fly.
Nobody would have ever known, would they, unless I said something.
Glad we had another one charged up, right?
Barely.
Oh, okay.
Barely. Anyway, that's just, I know that's been kind of stuck in our craw here a little bit because, again, we really want to support WAR, and we're doing the races live, the majority of the races live on Racing Boys. But the fact is we want to work with people that their word is everything. That's why we work with Lucas Oil ASCS National Sprint Car Tour. Same thing. It's exactly why we work with him, because we know Emmett's word is his word. It's a handshake deal. And we know that people go in there all the time, try to undercut our deal and try to get in there and do what we do. But and I love telling people this. It's probably not the smartest thing to make public. The fact is, our deal's a handshake deal with them. It has been for 7 years with Chili Bowl and with everything we do.
That's the way we operate, you know.
Because we know.
We don't have written contracts. We try not to.
Well, I mean, there's occasional.
Sometimes you got to have it.
Well, people want them sometimes.
Yeah.
But people that know us know that our word is good. And that's all we want to do is work with the same kind of people. So, all right, let's see here. CC Scott. Is anyone else having trouble getting campsite at Kansas Speedway for the fall race? They are telling me there are spots, but you have to buy. Let's see. I got to put on my glasses. I can't see that.
I'm glad you're going to try to read that, because don't ask me to read it.
Right. We didn't even talk about it.
I can't read a thing right now. That's while you're going through that.
Have to buy for spring and fall race. The spring race is over.
You have to buy for both events in one package. Is that what they're saying?
That's what they're saying. Yeah.
And they just want to buy for the fall race. What happens if people want to buy now? Do you have to buy for the fall race and the next year's spring race in one
Listen,
package?
Here's what I'm going to say about all this, about Kansas Speedway and what's going on right now with the RV spots. This thing is just with all the construction going on with the road course and everything that's going on, just be patient with them. That's all I can ask you to do. Just be patient with them so they can figure out exactly everything that's going on down there.
They're talking about infield parking spots?
I think they're talking about infield RV spots.
Yeah, that's going to be a work in progress till they get everything set up.
And I know,
they probably don't know what they
people
have
say,
right now.
why are you taking up for them? It's not that.
They don't know what they have right now, do they?
I don't think so.
For the fall?
I went out there and they had everything tore up. They're going to lose some spots. They're going to have to make some adjustments out there.
You got to work with them.
Just be patient with them. That's all.
The outside RV spots, that's a whole different story, I would think. But
I don't. That's not what he's talking infield.
Yeah. No, that's. I can understand why they wouldn't have any answers to that right now.
Yeah. And if you got to buy both weekends, I'll try to get some clarification on that. We'll get Chris Schwartz or Pat Warren on here to talk about that.
I'm sure there's a logical explanation for all of that.
Yeah. All right. Phone lines are open, 816-833-8553. Dean, you are on with the Racing Boys. What's going on, Dean?
Oh, not much. I just want to ask Scott if he was going to promote any more ASCS races.
Yes, we and myself and Tony Bruce Jr.
Okay.
Are promoting a national tour race July 3rd at US 36. It's the first annual US 36 Nationals. And Kirk, and can I get you to turn down your computer just for a second there, Dean?
Okay.
Yeah. We'll be doing that race up there, and that's just a little more than a month away. Well, it's right at a month. Osborne, up at Cameron, US 36.
Oh, yeah, I've been there before. Yeah.
Be a national tour date up there. It'd be the first time the national tour's been there since, I think, 05 maybe. Something like that.
Well, see, I sold my tickets in 05 to the Speedway, so I go to Granite City, Illinois to watch the World of Outlaws. Yeah. I'm a diehard sprint car fan.
Well, you need to go up and check. How many national tour events you been to? ASCS national events?
I don't know. I've been to the ones down in Lucas Oil.
Yeah, I think they. And again, I know everybody thinks I'm a homer, but I think their product is as good as anything when it comes to dirt.
Eagle Raceway this next weekend is something you might want to consider.
You need to go this weekend. That's what.
Well, right now I can't because I'm presently in the hospital. But
sorry to hear that.
But I always listen to the Racing Boys every week.
We know you do. I know you've called in before, and we hope you feel better, Dean.
Okay. Well, yeah. Hopefully I'll be gone. Released today, but. I sat here last night watching the cars go down to Valley Speedway.
Oh, that was tough.
On the freeway.
That was hard to do, wasn't it?
Yeah, and plus I grew up in the shadows of the old Olympic Stadium.
Well, I mean, I went to Olympic when I was a kid. Kirk, he wasn't around here when Olympic was up and running. And, I miss Riverside, Olympic, the old Lakeside. The old
I do too.
I miss all those tracks. But, I think we're in a pretty good spot right now. When it comes to, I travel all over the country. I don't think people realize how spoiled we are here in this area, how many good racetracks that we have. And we've gotten rid of some of the tracks that were kind of, underperforming, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
But I think right now racing is strong around here. The price of gas is going down. I think things are getting to rebound right now. And I believe it's going to rebound the economy, and with the price of fuel going down, the price of fuel going down takes care of a lot of things, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It really does.
I just love sprint car racing. I grew up with it. My dad used to hang out with Johnny Johnson and Jim McHale.
Oh yeah, old school there.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, so and I knew Rick Sutcliffe long before he ever became a baseball player.
Sure, and his dad,
through his dad.
Yep,
Dick's son. Yeah. All right, Dean. Well, listen, we hope you feel better. Look us up when you get back out the track. All right, bud?
Okay, I will. I always do. Try to talk to you at the track.
All right, we'll see you
then.
Take
care, Dean.
All right, thank you.
Care.
You guys have a great weekend.
Wish you well.
Well,
calling from the hospital this morning.
Well, we hope that Dean feels better. Who was that name that you give me up there? Oh, we got old Phil Wilson from. Oh, I think he dropped. Phil, you there?
Yep.
Philip Wilson from I-35. Hey, what are you doing, Phil?
Oh, nothing. Just watching you guys on TV.
How
I think
about
we're planning on coming up there, seeing you tonight up there at I-35. All ready to go racing tonight?
Yes, we are. We've got our carb night and an annual caster celebration. All the caster clan will be up there tonight.
Oh, that's a must. We got to be up there for
I just made up my mind where I'm going.
Yeah,
then.
that's right. Caster family celebration.
Are you kidding me? That's the first family of motorsports in my eyes in this town is the Caster family.
I know how Scott feels about the Caster family. So.
Yep. Well,
I miss Larry. You know what? I met a lot of people in this sport, and a lot of people have passed on, but he's the one I probably miss the most. Not to take anything away from anybody else, but I felt that I had a special relationship with Larry. I talked to him often on the phone, right up till his passing, and raced for him when I was a kid. So, huge fan of Larry Caster. I saw Dixie here a couple weeks ago when we were handing out flyers out at Lakeside Speedway for our race at Valley, and give her a hug and told her how much I miss seeing her. So that'll be a good night up there.
Yeah, Larry was a big factor in getting I-35 up and running when it was first built.
I'm going to tell you what Larry was. Larry was a trendsetter. He was the first one to start street stocks. He was the first one to bring IMCA out of all the 50 states.
Yep.
Larry
IMCA
Castor
modified.
was the first promoter to bring IMCA out of the state of Iowa. Now, just think about that for a second in the grand scheme of things. The first ever. And how many IMCA tracks is there around the country? He was the first one ever to come out of the state of Iowa. That puts him in a category of no other promoter in this area. He did something and took a chance on something that nobody else was willing to take at that time.
Yep, no doubt about that. Hey, what's been the highlights up there this year at I-35 Speed? We haven't talked a whole lot about the weekly racing up there, but kind of go over a little bit of what some of the highlights have been so far.
Well, our sport mod class, there has not been a repeat winner this year. We've had 6 races and 6 different winners. And then the other 4 classes, we've got a driver that's got at least 3 wins. Shea Woods in the modifieds. Bud Wilson, who's driving one of the Mike Johnson cars this year, he's got 3 wins, and he's going to be sponsoring a big race coming up on the 23rd of June. And then in the stock car class, Dean Ray's got 3 wins, and then Eric Stanton in the hobby stocks.
Yeah, that Shea Woods, boy, good young driver from out of Humiston, Iowa. He made his mark in that B-Mod class, and he was immediately good when he went up to that IMCA division, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's done pretty good in the sport mod class. Won the championship, and then stepped up to the A mods, and he took the points lead before last weekend, but had some problems last weekend. So now the points leader in the modifieds is last year's champion Corey Ray, who still has not won yet this year. We've actually got a couple drivers leading the points in their respective classes who have not won this year. Dean Ray, we had the IMCA tech official was up from IMCA, and he found something on Dean's car, something about the box that he didn't like, so he DQ'd Dean, and that let Bruce Fair, who moved up from the hobby stock class last year.
Now, you're talking about Deanie Ray. You talking about his MSD box? They didn't like something about it?
Yeah, something about he hooked up something to it and it wouldn't hit on the box or something. I'm not real technical about all that, but Dean said, I talked to Dean, he said it worked the week before when they hooked it up, but this week it wouldn't work for some reason.
Yeah, I've never thought of Deanie Ray as a big cheater, so surely there's something that can be explained there. But, it is what it is. So, well, let's talk about Atchison County Raceway. You've been up there. How's things been going? We really haven't talked to anybody up there that we haven't been getting really the press release. Did we ever get a press release from the open night?
Have not.
We haven't received one, did we? No?
I actually haven't made it up there yet this year. I just know 3 of the winners that won last night because they're I-35 Speedway drivers.
Who were the winners up there?
In the hobby stocks, Lee Farmer won for the 2nd week in a row. He actually won at Atchison last week, I-35 the next night, and then he won at Atchison this week.
Wow, on a roll.
In stock car class, Josh Steele was leading the feature, and there was a little talk of either somebody took him out, but the guy's denying it. And he come back and won this week, and then Truman Asher won in the sport mod division.
Did you hear what the total car count was? I think it was 40 the opening night.
I heard 20, I heard 60, then I heard 40, but I think it was right about 50. Yeah. I mean,
how'd you come to that conclusion, Phil?
Bill Birkinshaw actually contacted me a few weeks before the opener, wanted me to come up and announce, but
yeah.
I explained to him that's a 2-hour drive from where I live one way.
You'd be a great addition to them, and especially if you could do press releases. I think, I say this all the time, and Phil, you know as well as anybody because you've been writing press releases forever. It's free advertisement.
Yeah.
You got to take advantage of that.
I send out my press release to about anywhere from 50 to 80 people every week.
And it doesn't cost a dime other than what the track pays you to do it. It's so simple and so effective.
Yeah, I appreciate you doing that, Philip. Do a great job.
It takes me about an hour a night to do it.
Yeah.
Now you do a great job. So,
but you know what? You've shown your dedication to this sport and what I-35 means to you and all the years that you have of service to that racetrack. You get it. You understand it. And that's just sometimes it takes others a little bit longer to figure that out.
So one week we rained out, and me and one of my friends traveled to another track, and I never thought I'd appreciate I-35 more than I did before I went to that other track.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they made a lot of improvements up there. They got that new suite
it's
building
open.
done. It's open.
Yeah, Mike told me it was done. Right?
Oh yeah, it's done. Even after the races, it's open for a while after the races.
Oh, I'm sure it is. That's a revenue stream right there, bud.
Can't wait to see the finished product tonight.
The first
next
one.
Week,
the first one. Go ahead, Phil.
next week we have Outlaw Jim and the Whiskey Benders coming up, I believe. So
that's
a
right.
concert at the track.
Yeah.
How about that?
I remember that. You know, I think he took a page out of Forrest Lucas's book.
Yeah.
Forrest Lucas makes a lot of money off that little bar down there at his place. That's a hell of a revenue stream right there. We know, there's people that go to the races that like to have their adult beverages.
Now, how do people how do people have access into that suite area? Do they just buy a ticket in? How does that work?
You actually pay $20 and you get to sit in the air-conditioned suite, and it's full of concessions, full of beer, and that includes your admission ticket. Most people think it's $20 to get to the suite and $12 for your ticket, but it's $20. I mean, it's pretty much just $8 to go sit in the air conditioning.
I think that's where I'm going tonight. I want to see. I haven't been up there since last year. I want to go up there and check out the suite, and I want to see the Castor family. I think it's a pretty easy decision where I'm going tonight.
Hey, what time's everything open up tonight? What time's the races start?
Gates open up at 4:30. Hot laps at 6, or hot laps are at 6:30. Racing at 7. Everybody thinks I have it easy sitting in the air-conditioned announcer's booth. The air conditioning in that announcer's booth is nothing compared to the suite.
Really?
I went down to the suite to use the restroom last week, and I wanted to move my announcing stuff down there.
So you'll be moving your way down to that suite to call the races, I take it, right?
No.
In time?
I wish they'd let me.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
you got to ask for permission to do that, right, Philip?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
How's things going up there with the new competition director? Everything good?
Yeah, everything's going pretty good. Of course, with new people coming up and stuff, it's always going to take a little bit to get
acclimated
to stuff, but Karen's doing a good job.
Our good friend Karen Darling.
We knew she would do a good job. Yep. She's a professional.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Philip. Thanks so much for calling in. Appreciate it. Anytime.
Not a problem. Thanks, guys.
All right, buddy.
There he is, the voice of I-35 Speedway, Philip Wilson, checking in with us here on hour number 2.
Phone line's still open. We got 2 lines here, and they're both open right now. 816-833-8553. 816-833-8553. Todd will answer the phone, and he'll get you hooked up, and we'll put you right on the show. You've got anything you want to talk about. I got to give a shout-out to my girl, Lauren Clem, for her second-place run last week as well, down at L.A. Raceway.
Well. She did well. She, matter of fact, had a chance to win the race.
Yeah.
Chad Goff was the winner of the 305 race. No, it was not Mitchell Moore.
She passed Mitchell, too.
She outran Mitchell Moore.
The one time she outrun Mitchell Moore and he wasn't leading. Darn it. You know what I'm saying? That's been the goal, is that we knew if we could outrun Mitchell Moore, she had a chance to win. And sure enough, she outrun Mitchell and somebody else.
She had a nose down under one of those late restarts underneath Chad Goff, and looked like she might have had a chance to make it stick there. But Chad was just a little bit too fast on that particular night, and he comes through with a rare win in the 305 class when it's not Mitchell Moore.
We got to get her in a 360.
I think in time she'll be in that, and she'll do well.
Well, that's what we're going to, Jeff has a car and I have a car, and my car's stripped down and just needs to be painted and put back together and buy a few parts for it so we can get it together. Need a motor, though. That's going to be the problem. So hopefully we'll be able to do that before too long. Kirk, we talked a little bit earlier. Bob was on here. You want to do that now?
The McCarthy, brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet.
We're going to talk about ULMA here in just a minute, and we'll also talk about MLRA down at LA Raceway tonight. Bob, if you're listening, maybe you can call in and give us a little bit of a rundown on what tonight's activities are going to be. But for now, we're going to take a quick 1-minute break. As everybody knows, McCarthy Chevrolet is the title sponsor of everything just about Racing Boys is doing. And don't forget, they got certified used cars starting at $79.95, I should say. $7,995. Come see the new Sonic. They got specials on new HD trucks, over 75 to choose from. Get over there and tell them the Racing Boys sent you. We'll be right back in 1 minute.